What Helena Blavatsky told about God, soul, consciousness, time, and reality will shake the foundations of everything you thought you knew. The ancient wisdom she discovered has been systematically hidden from humanity for centuries. The powers that control our world have deliberately concealed these teachings because they reveal the true nature of your divine power. This information threatens the very system designed to keep you asleep, unaware of your unlimited potential. They don't want you to discover what I'm about to share with you today. Did you ever feel like there's something fundamentally wrong with the reality you experience? Like you're trapped in a world that doesn't quite fit? There's a reason for that feeling. Helena Blavatsky uncovered a cosmic conspiracy so profound that it explains why humanity has been kept in spiritual darkness. What she discovered was not just another philosophy or religion, it was the master key to the universe itself. Blavatsky called this hidden system the cosmic prison, a metaphysical construct that traps human consciousness in a limited perception of reality. This prison isn't built with physical bars, but with false beliefs, manipulated information, and spiritual amnesia deliberately programmed into humanity. The architects of this system, ancient cosmic intelligences that some traditions call archons, have worked for millennia to ensure humans remain unaware of their true divine nature. Why would these forces want to keep us trapped? Because your consciousness is more powerful than you've been allowed to know. Your awareness is not just a byproduct of your brain, it's a direct extension of the infinite creative force that shapes all existence. The institutions that should guide humanity toward truth, religious organizations, educational systems, even modern science, have been infiltrated and corrupted to maintain this spiritual blindness. But the cracks in their system are growing wider. Where are you watching this from today? Your location might seem insignificant, but knowing how far this message is reaching helps us understand how the Great Awakening is spreading. The greatest deception in human history isn't about politics or economics. It's about the nature of reality itself. What Blavatsky revealed through her connection to the masters of ancient wisdom was that the physical world you perceive is merely the thinnest outer layer of a vast, multidimensional existence. Your consciousness doesn't belong to this physical realm. It's merely visiting, experiencing, learning. If you're resonating with this message, take a moment to show your support by liking and subscribing. This simple action helps break the algorithms designed to suppress this knowledge. Blavatsky's secret doctrine explains that what we call God is nothing like the anthropomorphic deity portrayed by conventional religions. The true divine principle she discovered is an infinite conscious energy field that encompasses all possibilities simultaneously. This universal consciousness doesn't judge, punish, or demand worship. It simply exists as the foundation of all that is, was, or ever will be. Modern quantum physics has unknowingly begun to verify what Blavatsky wrote about over a century ago. That observation affects reality, that matter is mostly empty space, that everything is interconnected at the quantum level. The cosmic prison functions by convincing you that you are separate from this divine source, but the truth is that you were never truly disconnected. The feeling of separation is the primary illusion that sustains human bondage. You've always sensed that something wasn't quite right with the world as it's presented to you. That intuition isn't paranoia. It's your higher self trying to communicate with your conscious mind. Your soul remembers the truth, even when your mind has forgotten. The discomfort you feel in this world is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It's evidence that you're awakening to a greater reality. According to Blavatsky's teachings, the entity that most religions worship as God is actually the demiurge, a limited cosmic intelligence that believes itself to be the supreme creator. This false God created the material universe as we know it, but it is not the ultimate reality. It is merely a projection of the true divine source, distorted through the lens of ego and limitation. This is why so much suffering exists in our world, not because the universe is inherently cruel, but because we're living in a flawed creation designed by a flawed creator. The material world is quite literally inside out. What we've been taught is real is actually the shadow, while what we've been taught is imagination contains more truth. This false reality is maintained through fear, fear of death, fear of punishment, fear of meaninglessness. When you live in fear, You willingly give your power away to anything that promises security. But your divine spark, what Blavatsky called the Atma or higher self, cannot be destroyed or corrupted. No matter how deeply buried under conditioning and false beliefs, this inner light remains perfect and pure. You can feel it in those rare moments of profound connection, when you're moved by great beauty, when you experience unconditional love, when you glimpse the vastness of the cosmos. These are not just emotional reactions, they are momentary remembrances of your true nature. The way out of the cosmic prison begins with recognizing that you are not who you've been told you are. You are not your body, your thoughts, your personal history, or your social identity. These are merely costumes worn by your consciousness as it moves through this particular life experience. The real you exists beyond all these temporary attributes. Blavatsky called this your monad, the eternal spark of divine consciousness that accumulates wisdom through countless incarnations across vast cosmic cycles. This higher self isn't something you need to create or achieve. It's already who you are at the deepest level of your being. The controllers of this system don't want you to access this knowledge because a human who remembers their divine nature can no longer be manipulated through fear. If you're finding value in these revelations, please share this with others who might be ready to awaken. The more minds that break free from the programmed limitations, the faster the collective consciousness can evolve beyond this controlled system. Blavatsky taught that what we call evil in the world isn't some external force or demonic entity. It's simply the consequence of ignorance, of forgetting our connection to all things. When you believe you're separate from the whole, you act in ways that harm others because you don't recognize them as extensions of yourself. The illusory boundary between self and other is the root of all conflict and suffering. The Illuminati, the hidden controllers, the ancient priesthoods, they've all maintained power by keeping humanity divided against itself. By fostering tribalism, nationalism, religious sectarianism, and class warfare, they ensure we remain too distracted fighting each other to recognize our common divine heritage. The good news is that this system is breaking down. The cosmic prison relies on your voluntary participation, your unconscious consent to its rules and limitations. Once enough people withdraw that consent by awakening to their true nature, the entire construct becomes unsustainable. This is why there's such an aggressive effort to distract and divide humanity right now. The controllers sense that a mass awakening is imminent, and they're desperately trying to reinforce the walls of the prison before too many inmates realize the doors are actually unlocked. Blavatsky revealed that time itself is not what we've been taught. It's not a linear progression from past to future, but a simultaneous expression of all possibilities. What we experience as the past still exists. What we conceptualize as the future already exists. Your consciousness simply moves its focus through these eternal fields of possibility, creating the illusion of linear time through selective attention. This means that you're not bound by fate or karma in the way most traditions teach. You can literally change your past by shifting how you perceive and interpret it in the present. Every moment contains the potential for complete transformation. The most powerful secret Blavatsky uncovered was the nature of human consciousness itself. Your awareness is not produced by your brain. Rather, your brain is an instrument through which universal consciousness experiences itself in physical form. Like a radio receiver that tunes into existing broadcast signals, your brain doesn't generate consciousness. It receives and translates it. This is why consciousness can't be located in any particular part of the brain, why it doesn't appear in brain scans, why science struggles to explain how matter can somehow produce awareness. They're looking in the wrong direction. Consciousness isn't an emergent property of matter. Matter is a condensed form of consciousness. The cosmic prison operates by keeping you identified exclusively with your ego, the limited self-concept constructed from memories, social conditioning, and survival programming. But this ego is merely the tip of the iceberg of your total being. Beneath the surface of your everyday awareness exists what Blavatsky called the higher manas, the transpersonal mind that connects to universal wisdom. Beyond that is the buddhi, pure intuitive understanding that transcends conceptual thought. And at your core is Atma, pure divine consciousness identical with the universal source. These aren't mystical fantasies, they're the actual structure of your multidimensional being. Every spiritual tradition that has managed to preserve fragments of this ancient wisdom has been systematically distorted or destroyed. The Gnostics were massacred, the mystery schools were forced underground, indigenous knowledge keepers were colonized and converted, ancient texts were burned or mistranslated. This was not random historical violence. It was a coordinated effort to sever humanity's connection to its spiritual heritage. If you're feeling a resonance with these teachings, take a moment to support this channel with a like and subscribe. Each person who awakens helps strengthen the field of consciousness that's dissolving the prison walls. What makes Blavatsky's revelations so revolutionary is that they completely invert our understanding of reality. She taught that your thoughts and emotions aren't just subjective experiences, they're creative forces that literally shape the matrix of reality around you. Every thought you think sends ripples through the quantum field. Every emotion you feel impacts the collective consciousness. The world you experience is a direct reflection of your internal state, not because of some simplistic law of attraction, but because consciousness and matter are different expressions of the same fundamental energy. The universe doesn't just respond to your consciousness, it is your consciousness, experienced from a particular vantage point. The path to freedom that Blavatsky outlined involves a fundamental shift in identity, from seeing yourself as a physical being having occasional spiritual experiences to recognizing yourself as a spiritual being having a temporary physical experience. This isn't just a philosophical distinction, it's a complete reorientation that changes how you interpret everything that happens in your life. Challenges become opportunities for soul growth. Relationships become mirrors reflecting aspects of yourself. Death transforms from an ending into a transition. Nothing is gained or lost. Consciousness simply changes form, like water flowing from ice to liquid to vapor and back again. The secret teaching at the heart of Blavatsky's work is that the ultimate nature of reality is consciousness itself, not consciousness as a property or an activity, but as the fundamental substance of existence. Everything you experience, from the most solid physical object to the most abstract concept, is made of this same conscious energy, just vibrating at different frequencies. The material world is consciousness in its densest, slowest form. Thought is consciousness in a more refined, faster vibration. Spirit is consciousness in its purest, highest frequency. You exist simultaneously at all these levels, though your awareness is typically focused on the material plane. Why does this matter to your everyday life? Because once you understand that reality is fundamentally mental rather than material, you realize that transforming your mind is the key to transforming your experience. The prison walls are mental constructs that can be dissolved through conscious awareness. This doesn't mean physical reality is an illusion in the sense that it doesn't exist. Rather, it's illusory in the sense that it's not fundamental. It's a projection, a manifestation, an expression of something deeper. When you change the projector, the projection changes too. Blavatsky described a cosmic evolutionary journey in which human consciousness is gradually awakening to its own divine nature across enormous cycles of time. We are currently in what she called the Kali Yuga, the darkest phase of the cycle, where materialism reaches its peak and spiritual awareness is at its lowest ebb. But within this darkness, the seeds of the next golden age are already germinating. Each person who awakens to their true nature accelerates this cosmic process. Your individual evolution is inseparable from the evolution of all consciousness. By liberating yourself, you contribute to the liberation of all beings. The cosmic prison has one fundamental vulnerability. It can only contain you if you believe in its reality. The moment you recognize its illusory nature, you begin to transcend its limitations. This doesn't mean you immediately exit the physical plane. Rather, you learn to operate within it while maintaining awareness of your larger, multidimensional existence. You become what Blavatsky called a conscious creator rather than an unconscious participant in reality. The prison becomes a school, then a playground, then simply one venue among many for the expression of your boundless consciousness. If this knowledge resonates with you at a deep level, if you feel a recognition beyond intellectual understanding, that's because your higher self already knows these truths. The information isn't new to your soul. It's simply being remembered by your conscious mind. This remembering is the greatest threat to the control system because it can't be undone. Once you glimpse your true nature, even briefly, the spell of limitation is permanently weakened. You may still get distracted or temporarily forget, but the seed of awakening has been planted and will inevitably grow. If you found value in this message, please share it with others who might be ready for this awakening. The most revolutionary aspect of Blavatsky's teachings is that they place the power of creation back in your hands. You are not a powerless victim of circumstances, not a sinful creature in need of salvation, not a biological accident in a meaningless universe. You are a focal point of universal consciousness, temporarily experiencing limitation for the purpose of growth and creative expression. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to remember more of who you truly are. Every relationship is a mirror reflecting aspects of your consciousness that seek integration. Every moment contains the possibility of awakening more fully to your divine nature. What happens when you fully awaken from the cosmic prison? According to Blavatsky, you don't disappear or merge into some formless void. Instead, you become a conscious co-creator of reality, able to navigate multiple dimensions and manifest directly from thought. The limitations of physical existence become optional rather than compulsory. This isn't about escaping the world. It's about transforming it through the power of awakened consciousness. The ultimate goal isn't to leave the physical plane, but to bring the higher dimensions into expression here, creating what various traditions have called heaven on earth, the New Jerusalem, or the Golden Age. You are not alone in this awakening. Throughout history, there have always been those who broke free from the cosmic prison and attempted to share what they discovered, often at great personal cost. Blavatsky herself was ridiculed, slandered, and attacked for revealing these truths. Today, as the old systems of control weaken, more and more people are experiencing spontaneous awakenings. What was once the domain of isolated mystics is becoming a mass phenomenon. The very fact that you're receiving this message now is evidence that you're part of this global awakening. You didn't find this information by accident. Your higher self guided you to it because you're ready for the next step in your evolution. The greatest secret of all is that love is not just an emotion, but a fundamental force of the universe. Perhaps the fundamental force from which all others derive. Not romantic love or personal attachment, but unconditional creative love that forms the very fabric of existence. When Blavatsky wrote about the fundamental unity of all beings, she was describing this field of universal love that connects all points of consciousness regardless of apparent separation in time and space. As you awaken, you naturally begin to experience this connectedness, this underlying unity. Compassion becomes not a moral choice but a direct perception of reality. You care for others because you recognize them as extensions of yourself. What does this mean for your life right now today? It means that awakening isn't something that happens in some distant future after years of spiritual practice. It's available in this very moment through the simple recognition of what you already are. You don't need to add anything to yourself or achieve some perfect state. You only need to remove the layers of conditioning that obscure your true nature. This doesn't require you to abandon your life and move to a monastery. It simply means bringing present moment awareness to everything you do, recognizing the divine consciousness that expresses through all forms, including your own. The world is at a crucial turning point. The old systems based on separation, hierarchy, and control are breaking down. A new paradigm founded on interconnection, cooperation, and conscious creation is emerging. You didn't incarnate at this pivotal moment by accident. You chose to be here to participate in this great transition. Whether you remember choosing this or not, your higher self guided you to this time and place because you have a unique contribution to make to the collective awakening. No one else can fulfill your particular purpose. No one else can express the divine in precisely the way that you can. You are not the body. You are not the ego. You are not your thoughts, emotions, or personal history. You are the eternal conscious presence that witnesses all these temporary phenomena. This is what Blavatsky called the divine spark, the immortal aspect of your being that cannot be created or destroyed, only temporarily forgotten. As you remember this truth, the cosmic prison that seemed so solid begins to dissolve like mist in the morning sun. The limitations that appeared so restrictive reveal themselves as opportunities for growth and creative expression. The separation that caused so much suffering transforms into a celebration of diversity within unity. We stand together at the dawn of a new era, not as isolated individuals, but as a collective consciousness gradually awakening to its true nature. The knowledge that was hidden for centuries is now spreading rapidly across the planet. What Blavatsky and other wisdom keepers sacrificed to preserve is now available to anyone with the courage to look beyond the programmed limitations of consensus reality. You are part of this great awakening. Your consciousness matters. Your awakening contributes to the liberation of all beings. Remember who you are. Remember why you came. Remember that the power to transform reality has always been within you, waiting to be recognized and expressed. You are the one you've been waiting for.